about our clubbing experiences. Because I think that's probably the most prominent place. I don't know why people think just because we're in the club we're ready for sex. Like I don't know what's going on. And
no, that's what people think. Everyone's there for.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's why men will release their
people
girlfriends.
do the whole like drive-by slap thing that actually hurts. Like there's actually no need for you to slap right
by.
Slap?
Wait, do you mean in a car?
No, that is
Hi everyone, I'm Serena.
I'm Samia.
I'm Naima.
And I'm Shreya, and welcome to another episode of Untold. So, how's everybody's week been? Today, we don't have to tell me about the week.
Today was really good. I was obviously representing Untold on the Community Voices conversation with the University of Reading, and it went well. Samia's going to show me the screenshot today of everyone's comments, so I'm excited.
It was really good.
I heard you got a lot of standing ovations.
I saw one GIF. It's GIF, right?
GIF, yeah.
I heard someone the other day say GIF.
It's GIF. It's actually pronounced GIF. That's how the person who made it says it's pronounced as GIF.
Oh, okay, cool. But anyway, I saw a GIF of like it's The Rock, like, and I was like, oh my god, about me. So yeah, that was good.
Yeah,
I was
it was
quite cool with
great.
that. My mum was concerned. I was like, why are you worried? And she was like, because of all the like trolling that you got last summer. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. I was worried about your mental health back then.
I was like, bring it. In that instance, when I had the This Is England lot in my comments, I thought, you want to go? My auntie was like, sit down and drink your Stella. She was on smoke, so because the fact that she was staying with us during that time, that gave me the power, to just keep going. But yeah, overall, really good.
I'm glad. Today, I filled out some forms to be vetted for my new role.
Ooh, excited!
No.
So when start that process? I feel like we're being up to date.
No, sorry. As you might know, it's past my bedtime.
Just for the record, it is 9:50 p.m. I repeat, 9:50 p.m. on the 8th.
Oh, it's only 9:50.
Only.
I said already.
Oh.
Goodness. Wow, it is nearly my bedtime. But yeah, that was my day. So I had a nice little day. What about you guys?
I worked.
Moving softly on.
I woke up, I worked, and I came here.
My day was a bit, frustrating, but then Naima raised it in the middle with her fantastic speech. I spent the whole day trying to write a conclusion. Do you know how hard it is to conclude what you read? Like, I know what I've done, but I was just like, how do I...
Yeah, I love conclusions.
I actually saw someone tweeting about this the other day, like, why do I need, like, I've already said it. Like, why are you asking me to conclude? And I was like, do you know what? That's actually a point.
It's true. If you don't understand it, read it again.
Well, I normally...
That's what I'm going to write my conclusion. That's it, it's done. If you've gotten to this point thus far, you are not following, please return to section 1. That's what I'm going to
maybe this one is not for you.
That's what I'm going to write. That would save me a lot of time to just write that sentence.
But what I used to do when I used to write things is use conclusion to evaluate your work and see if there are any things that you could do better. So I do conclusion and evaluation together. So that would really help. That's what they tend to do.
Okay.
So any missing holes, you say, if you were to do it again,
This is what I would have
yeah.
done. Okay.
Dropping gems.
Yeah, but anyway, so today I just wanted to speak a bit more about not just Sarah Everard, but also just the violence that women face on a daily basis and the violence that men face as well, all at the hands of men. And I think that's a really, really important conversation to have, especially I've been seeing all these kind of conversations online saying, yeah, but not all men, or like, yeah, but what about men on men violence, or what about, men get raped or men get assaulted too. So I think it's really important that we sit down and talk about actually why that's more damaging to the conversation. But yeah, guys, what do you think about the horrible killing of Sarah Everard and the massive problem that it unmasks?
Can I just say, this might sound wild again, but after it happened, I was in a meeting full of white women, and they're like, it's so scary. The police, the people that that are supposed to protect you, kill you. And I said, yeah, I can't imagine that. The people that are supposed to protect me they didn't, obviously, they weren't red. But anyhow, it kind of highlights, for the first time, they've actually recognised this is how we feel as black people. And I think it's good for them to feel this emotion and work on it. And next time we're saying this, listen. But I think for me as a black woman, it's even more scary because now I'm a double target by the same organisation. Met Police calling, you know.
Literally Adam.
Yeah, but yeah, it's not. I think people are surprised that a policeman did this, but I think it's no surprise considering the police history and what they trained them to do. And when you look at how they give them this false sense of power over people, their actions that they do, I'm not surprised by. So yeah,
they're really put on a pedestal. Like you can tell, especially by people haven't like necessarily acknowledged that they are the real thugs in this world. Because like the shock around it, like you said, we've been knowing that they're violent. We've been knowing that, like, okay, he's a police officer, so he's still a man. He's still a human.
This was
he's
my
still
point.
capable. So the fact that they're so shocked is actually concerning.
Yeah.
Because like all this time we've been seeing this. Where were you?
Yeah. And I saw someone say actually, the Met Police have just revolutionised a generation of women the way black people were revolutionised. And I thought,
interesting.
So black women don't exist.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, lovely. We're not a part of this conversation. I think it goes further to show again, not to be repetitive, but how damaging white feminism is, because they don't actually see black women in this. And I even saw, and obviously it's just a troll, so you don't really pay too much mind, but I even saw people, you know, like tweeting like, when black women were talking about the violence that women face, I saw trolls going out of their way to go underneath these tweets saying, this isn't about you, this is about white women, black women don't face the same violence, and X and the...
No, they don't, they face even more.
Yeah, and at least Sarah Everard's killer was found, and you know, he was going to be dealt with, I hope, very much so. But Blessing's death wasn't even, she just died. She was a young woman, a black young woman, and she died. And they still said that her death was not suspicious. A person just doesn't just drown. She went to work at a care home and she was lost for, I think, around a week, and they found a dead body, and they're still saying it was not suspicious. And I think that's what's crazy. I think, like you said, Naima, white feminism doesn't take the intersectionality into account. Yes, you've got oppression, as every woman faces some sort of oppression, no matter what class she's at. But if you now put race into it, that gets worse. And if you now put social mobility into it, like the wealth that they come from, it gets even worse. So there's actually levels to this. And it's not a matter of, you know, saying, oh, I've got it worse. It's a matter of saying, this is terrible. No matter what level you face it at, let's deal with it all. And in this conversation, I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but often I've seen a lot of men feeling very defensive and being like, yeah, but not all men. All of these girls are lying about, even the 97% rape statistic, not rape, sexual harassment statistic. People were saying they lie about rape, they're lying about this, like 97% is a lot. And I just thought, what do you know?
Yeah.
Honestly,
Do you
you
know
lived as a woman, so how do you know?
Yeah.
How would you know that this is absurd?
It's really interesting because I'm in a group chat with like some guys and girls, and one of the guys messaged and said about this statistic, like, what do we think of it? And I said to him, I was like, I think it's more.
Oh
like,
yeah.
I think it's 100%. Like
It must be.
Because we're not talking about just rape, we're talking about sexual harassment.
Yeah.
Everyone.
It's got to be 100.
And the fact that you've got people that are trying to undermine it, saying that, you know, it wasn't every single woman in the UK. Okay, there's 32 million plus women in the UK. There's never going to be a study with that many people in there. All studies, all statistics come from a sample. So why people are trying to use that as an argument to say, okay, cool, this is a lie, or this isn't true, it's just ridiculous. Like, just speak to every woman you know, and you're not going to find one woman who hasn't had experience. And if they can't recall one, it's because they've normalised it so much. Yeah. Like, when this guy asked this question, me and the girls were like talking about it, and then we're like, actually, and then there's another example, and then there's another example. And there's things I've forgotten about from like 5 years ago. 5 years ago, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, that was actually mad. And it's just, you just get on with it. It's like, you just get on with the sexual harassment, the abuse, and you just keep it moving. And I just think it's so crazy. Like, I read this article of a woman, she was like, it was about saying that nothing happened yesterday, and she speaks about how nothing happened, and it was about being abused in the street, being called like sexually derogative names and stuff like that while she was picking up her child. And it's just like, that's just one example of an everyday nothing happening that women go through every single day. And I think it's so disrespectful and so disgusting for men to come and center themselves with the conversation. And I hate it even more when black men do it, knowing how it feels when white people do it to us, when we're talking about race, and when they say it's not all white people or all lives matter, they know how frustrating that feels. So for you now to come and silence me when I'm talking about the oppression of women, it actually makes my blood boil. It's so frustrating. I actually don't have time for it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the statistic thing that you mentioned is so important, because we've come up with a statistic, right? And they're now questioning how statistic as a field works. They're saying, I saw somebody, they're saying the math is not adding, they're saying this is not right. They're saying,
But I'm sure when
Never
we're
questioned it
talking about the statistics when it comes to the police, that's fine.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about sexual harassment and violence against women, no, those statistics are somehow skewed.
Yeah.
No, I think they're so frightened of the reality that everything else must be wrong. And when you look at the fact that, I think you're right, it's 100% in terms of harassment, because I can't think of a woman that wasn't harassed. And it's even more scary to think at the age that you start getting harassed when you're in school, being, shouted at, abused actually, literally on your way to school, in school uniform, may I add. I think it's got to be 100, and I think they would do anything to discredit the argument, and I think that's even more scary, because you're wondering why would you want to discredit?
Why is that the first response?
We know why, because if that is true, that like when women are talking about how they've experienced harassment and sexual abuse, and they'll talk about things, and it won't be something scary or like out of the ordinary. It's like a normal thing, right? And it's often done by people that they know. And they know that if they admit that that was wrong, then what they've been doing with their girlfriends, with girls that they've encountered, with people around them, was also very much not just wrong but illegal. So I think that's what it is. They can't fathom. It's like a cognitive dissonance. They're saying, if that was rape, then hang on, A equals B and B equals C. So what I did must have also been rape.
They say they go, the statistics are wrong. That's what they say. I think it's important that they have. Everyone has open and honest conversations with themselves about what's happening, and then just be like, oh, this is room for improvement. I think when you're failing to try and understand what is going on, then you're never going to try and improve, and then you're going to still have the same conversation. You're going to still be living in the same society, which is a very scary society as a woman.
Yeah.
What would you say to the people who say men are 5 times more likely to be murdered?
I'm not disputing that. What can I say?
By a man, yeah. But that's what we're saying. It's the violence that men perpetuate. That's the problem here. Women are they just experience it a lot more, and I think men will think less about doing it to a woman than to a man. Like, just harass. I think it's just more normalised, because it's like catcalling is obviously easier. Or like more normalised than getting a knife and stabbing someone or whatever it might be. And the reason why men are 5 times more likely to be murdered, that actually comes from an issue that's very important to feminism anyway, is the fact that men are almost naturalised into violence. They're told that actually as a man, boys will be boys. When a boy punches a wall, boys will be boys. When a boy punches a girl, boys will be boys. When a boy punches a boy, boys will be boys. So that's what you're told that all the way throughout, and you're telling girls to kind of, whittle themselves down so men can have more room. And then that will, again, with power comes violence. If nobody's challenging that, then obviously that's what's going to come out of it. And if violence is a language that men are allowed to speak in, and because that's so normalised, then of course that's what that comes from. Men aren't inherently more violent. They've been allowed to be more violent, whereas women can't even shout without going into, especially if they're black, the black angry woman trope. Yeah. Like, I think you can't, that's what it is. If we were also allowed, I'm sure the same would have happened. We just were never allowed. Women were oppressed from years and years and years, that even us saying, actually, you're killing us, we're still met with denial. Even us saying, actually, women are raped, it's still met with the fact that, but women lie. now, statistically, 2% of women, so men are less likely to go to prison about rape that they actually committed than a woman is to actually lie about rape.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
No, continue. Yeah,
I was going to say, going on to your statistic, Naima, when you said that, there was not one part of my mind said, let me question how statistics are done. Let me question the whole thing.
Yeah.
If that is a statistic, and we have conversations about it. We talk about gang violence. We talk about all those situations when they arise, and we never, when another young black boy has died or another boy has died, we never say, oh,
But what about women?
Yeah, what about women being killed? We recognise this is a problem, and we're actually active in trying to support bring down this violence. And I think the upsetting thing is that we're not getting the same thing reciprocated. We're getting questioned about whether it's if we're real or not. It's
because they're triggered. Like Sharia said before, if they have to now face up to themselves, that's a bigger thing than them saying, oh no, this can't be true, and just going along with their lives ignorantly.
Yeah.
That's the easier thing to do. But it's literally just about listening. There are so many stories. You just have to ask, number one, and then listen, because like you said, there's no woman you'll come across that hasn't experienced something. Let's be real. But it's interesting because if there was a survey or a study done into asking men how many of you have harassed a woman,
they're all gonna say no.
What statistic gonna be then?
0%.
2.5% of men
actually
harassing women. So who are the men that are harassing the 7% of women then?
Yeah.
And I think that would really highlight what the problem is the lack of knowledge what's going on from the men's side in terms of what is harassment and what isn't. And I think it's easy for a woman to recognise harassment because the feeling is there. So if you imagine a man driving in his van and he winds down the window and shouts something, he keeps it moving because there's no emotion attached to that. Goes about his day. But as the woman that receives that's fear. Because situations like being kidnapped and being murdered and raped and murdered is very much real. So that's fair. You're like, are they going to come back? Let me keep on looking behind. And then you recognise it as harassment, and the guy that's done it doesn't recognise it because the feelings are not attached. So I think maybe more conversations so we can recognise the emotions behind it and what's going on will maybe prevent such things occurring, hopefully.
Yeah.
What would you guys say to women who, so for example, Davina McCall,
I was going to bring that
quite
up.
disappointed in her because she was one of those presenters that I looked up to. But she tweeted saying, being kidnapped and, murdered is incredibly rare. She wrote this whole paragraph and, we shouldn't blame all men. It's really not fair for, I don't know if she mentioned mental health or if that was a discussion that happened underneath, but basically saying, we need to stop all of this blaming of men and of the police force because this is an incredibly rare thing to happen.
I don't see why people are comfortable with any sort of injustice occurring. Why is that a thing to say, oh yeah, but I mean it happens but it doesn't happen that much. It happens and that's enough. There's enough of a reason to talk about it, to do something about it. I don't understand that narrative. I literally don't understand it.
Yeah. And I think going off of that, I think the reason why people feel it's not much of an issue is because they haven't faced it, but nobody's saying it's a personal issue. It's actually a social issue. It's a political issue. And what upsets me more, and honestly I'll use the word upset because it really, really does, is women who are looking for validation of men, and they're almost like they're men apologists, or they're basically downplaying what women go through. And I think it's actually absolutely bonkers because at least
bonkers?
Yeah! I was going to say it's another word, but I thought they were not swear.
I love that.
Couldn't even tell. That's great.
Now you've stopped me. Now you're
It's bonkers. You said it's bonkers.
These women silence women. What Davina did is what you're doing. But I think it's absolutely crazy because there's no need, even the privilege of women to actually be able to have the bravery to even stand up and talk about it. And your response is, yeah, but not all men. Yeah, but what were you wearing? Yeah, but what time were you out? And did you see that, I don't know, I'm going to come on to like stories in a second, but did you guys see that where in Parliament, where an MP suggested that there should be a curfew for men at 6 p.m. and everybody was shocked. But that's what women have been told since you're young.
Yeah.
Don't go out in the dark.
Don't go out too late.
You can't
don't go out
curfew.
too late.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unsaid
If you're
one.
going out late, make sure you're with people.
Yeah, send in your location now that we've got the technology to do so.
Mhm.
Before that, I used to text my mum like every 2 minutes where I was. They'd be like, just got on the bus. The bus is at this point now. I'm here now. I'm getting off the bus. Like it's just crazy. Do you guys? It's up to you. But do you guys mind in the effort of sharing untold stories, sharing an experience?
I have
Oh.
so many. I can't even. I was
think we
thinking,
should talk about it though.
Yeah.
Because what you said was so true. Like I feel like it takes so much bravery because even though we're not the ones at fault, when it is like
there's an element of shame to it
Yeah,
because we're
there-
told
yeah,
you were asking for it, or like,
Yeah.
what did you do? Yeah, but did you smile?
yeah, literally like I'm a smiley person.
Yes,
so
I can't help it.
Can you imagine screw facing your whole life? Like I actually can't. Like what do you want from me?
Yeah.
And literally, it's like I remember going clubbing with my mum one time, and she's like, "Naomi, you're like smiling too much." Like she was actually acting like my bodyguard, and I just thought this is so peak because I smile when that good song comes on. Like
Yeah.
I get gassed. You know what I mean? And it's like I can't even just dance and enjoy my life without being like harassed in some sort of way.
No, honestly, you smile at someone and suddenly it means you want.
Yeah, and they come over.
They come over.
Oh!
You literally just crossed my path. I'm
Yeah,
looking proud and
I'm
fine.
just trying to be polite. Like, can people be nice?
I'm in the club for
anymore?
the first time. I'm just looking around.
Wow.
That's actually
Just cut me out.
Let's talk about our clubbing experiences because
Yeah.
I think that's probably the most prominent place.
Oh.
I don't know why people think just because we're in the club we're ready for sex. Like I don't know what's going on.
And then that's what people think everyone's there for.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's why
Also,
men will
when
release
you know
their
when people do the whole
girlfriends.
like drive-by slap thing, that actually hurts. Like there's actually no need for you to slap
Drive
right
by
Slap?
Wait, do you mean in a car?
No, like in the club. No, like
Same, I thought one
In the
up in the club.
in the club, in the sense that they do it so quick because they actually know what they're doing is wrong. So
But why? Okay, why do that anyway?
It's power.
It is.
It's not.
and I feel like there's so
so
much
many
entitlement
times.
as well.
Oh.
It's so much entitlement that you feel like you're entitled to do that,
Yeah.
and you don't want me to react, so you're gonna just quickly cause me pain, by the way, because your hand is heavy, and slap me on the ass, and then keep it moving. And I'm now meant to just continue enjoying my night and carry on, and that's just
Yeah.
like that's fine and that's acceptable.
I just need to point out that it's not just in the club where these things happen. You can be on the street. You can be in McDonald's.
Are you?
Seven-
I'm actually waiting. I was
I'm
waiting.
at McDonald's and somebody's grabbing my bum. Like it doesn't make any sense. So it's not just the club, but the club is definitely
Yeah.
a lot
Prominent
worse. Like
And I've clocked. They know where their hand's going because one of my friends at uni was a guy, and never has he had a guy rub his bottom or smell.
Or say, excuse me.
with his
Yeah.
waist.
Excuse me.
Why must you watch
My waist.
there's actually ample
Ask me.
space.
No,
I will even move. I will even do this. I just still do it.
I'm actually making myself.
I watched.
small so
They
you
touch
can
him
go
here.
past.
They go, sorry, mate. They touched him on his shoulder. I said, so your hands
So
up.
you could, you
You
can
can
actually,
can reach.
and also you're actually short. So
Yeah, we have to even.
Don't lean there.
There's no need. Oh my god, yes. So story time.
okay.
Well, I just love, like, we laugh about these things.
It's very
because
sad.
That's how we cope.
We
like,
have to.
but it's actually
very
actually
sad. Yeah, this is what I was
If
thinking
you
about.
deep it too much, you'll actually go insane. So you
Yeah.
actually have to laugh about it.
This is what I was thinking about because I would, like, when I was at university, I'd be like in the library and stuff, and then I'd come back and I would feel no fear because you just laugh at it. Because if you start, you actually realize men. My uncle said men are hyenas. You go from one hyena to another hyena, and it's so true. Men are scary because you never know what they're thinking. It could be a friend, you could be people you know, and you never know. But yeah, so I was thinking about it, like when all of this came up, I was thinking about all the experiences. I'll never forget. Like there was one time I was coming from Birmingham, so I went to uni in Birmingham, and I used to tutor students. And I was coming home, I was on the phone, like FaceTime. I'm walking down this tunnel to catch a bus, and I hear people shouting, but I was used to it, so I was thinking, yeah, like whatever, let me just ignore it. And then they were shouting, and I looked up because I was down the tunnel, and it was like apparently it's a sketchy area, I didn't really know. And then they're shouting still, and I look up, and then I'm like, I'm on the phone. So I walked down the tunnel, went to the other side of the bus, and they crossed the road, still on the phone by the way. And this guy tried to talk to me, and I'm just like, I always say I'm engaged or I'm married. And that's another thing. Look at what women have to do.
And also they give more respect
to a man they've never
Why
met.
do you have to say that for them to leave you alone?
Do you know what? I've never, like a guy has actually told me that. A guy said, I will leave you alone when you get a man. And I said, why? And he said, because then I have to respect that. I said, whoa, but you know me.
And they don't even hear what's coming out of their mouth.
Anyways, that's a whole other story. But yeah, so now I'm at the bus stop, still on the phone, talking to someone. They're still talking, and I said, sorry. And I was like, oh, let me call you back. And I said, hi, hello, I'm actually engaged.
That's bravery.
That's great.
I'll be ready with the 999.
No, well, to be fair, it was broad daylight. It was like 4 or 5 maybe in summertime. So I was
Yeah.
wasn't actually like that scared of for that reason. I didn't even think of it. I was like, yeah, sorry. 'Cause normally people leave you alone, or you would think.
Yeah.
And then his friend came. I was at, you know, like the glass little bit of the bus stop, like that shelter thing. He punched I felt his fist go past me. He punched the thing behind me. His friend, not him. And he started swearing, shouting, and I was thinking, what? And a woman, like, she was walking by, she stood next to me, she called her boyfriend came, I think he was inside the shop. And they stood with me till I got the bus, and they stood there so that they wouldn't like follow me onto the bus. And I didn't really think anything of it, but do you know how wild that is? And this is just one of many, many, many stories. Like, I didn't really want to go clubbing after first term of uni because of the mad touching, like, and just, yeah, it's just a lot. And now you're like women having to call people, or you're having to like have 999, or having to have all these safe apps. You're actually changing how a woman lives her life.
Yeah.
Just because of your entitlement. There's no need. And you can't see the problem. And if your first thought is, yes, but men get raped too. When was the last time you talked about men getting raped? When was the last time you talked about men getting raped by men, who are the perpetrators of these things mostly? Let's talk about that. Don't trivialize two movements at once.
Also, when they are ready, when men do come forward, they dismiss the man.
Yeah.
So when they are ready to talk about it,
They
and
say,
you
no,
don't
no.
have any respect or time for them.
Yeah. It's just wild.
What about your experiences?
Oh gosh, it started when I was like 10.
Goodness.
No, if I'm being honest, like, I probably can't even remember the first time I
Yeah.
was sexually harassed. But, like, I just remember, like, it started obviously with, you know, uncles approaching you on the street. Like, you'll be in town or something, or like, even just walking home, like, you're coming up to me, and I'm clearly young.
Yeah.
And you're clearly not, like, clearly not. So, there's just been so many, like, I don't know, and I think when I was younger, I didn't realise it as that. I knew it was wrong, and I knew it was a problem, and we used to speak about these things even when we were young, like, oh, this man, da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And then obviously like other things happen, like I've mentioned, I'm gonna keep mentioning, why you grabbing my bum at McDonald's, at Carnival, like all these things.
Oh my gosh, you just triggered a memory.
Carnival, as much as it's that environment, you still have to respect. I'm a human being. Why am I being surrounded by 2 or 3 men and now you're daggering me?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I'm not. No, you guys.
You're not dancing. You're walking.
I'm walking. I'm not in the carnival yet. I'm walking.
Guys,
and
I remember
come out of nowhere.
I'm pushing.
And I was literally looking around like this. I was genuinely confused. They came so fast. A group. And I was literally like,
they're in formation. They say
they
play 3 and they'll go.
It's actually pack mentality.
yeah,
it's
just stuff
disgusting.
like that.
I remember being at Carnival and like walking, and I actually heard footsteps. I actually heard him running. I actually heard him running. I'm even joking. I remember like my sister was in front of me, and I remember I was walking, and I just put my arms over her, and then maybe I was a bit more bent because I put my arms over her, and I heard running. And then all of a sudden, this man's behind me, and I'm just like, and I must have been. Maybe I wasn't young to be at Carnival, because Carnival's meant to be for families as well. I might have been like 15 at this point. So like, you don't even know how old I am. You don't like.
You can't see the face.
Yeah, you're literally just. I was wearing a maxi skirt as well, guys. No, guys, I was wearing a maxi skirt, and this is the thing. It doesn't matter. People talk about it all the time. But the experience that I wanted to talk about, because I literally just remembered it the other day, and I would have forgotten had I not had this conversation. I was at this like party that got locked off. So we were all just like, and it was just like general. Do you know like when you have like not friends but acquaintances, but you always see them at motives and stuff like that. Someone who I thought was like just a normal guy, whatever that means. And we were all, it was meant to be my birthday, but the party got locked off, so I was like, no, like, I need to get drunk, like, this needs to be good. So the handful of times that I've gotten really drunk, this is one of them, when I was literally throwing up, like I felt so sick. My friends thought that he was helping me. He was actually in the bathroom, like, grinding on me. So, like, I'm literally, like, throwing up in the toilet, and he's behind me, and I was literally, like, and I remember, like, I got home, and I was just like, guys, like he did X, Y, Z, and they were like, what the fuck sort of thing, but then I forgot about it until the other day. That was like 5 years ago.
That's mad.
Yeah. I know. He's like pretending to help me whilst I'm throwing up.
That's so bad.
Delusional. I think this is what sums up this whole, when they come at you, it's delusional. So he probably, even to this day, doesn't recognise what he was doing.
Was wrong, yeah.
Because the level of, mad. Well, I was going to go for the first time. I remember sexual harassment, and I was walking home from school, and again, clearly in school uniform, and the car slowed down, and I thought, okay, let me walk, in my own head, and it was actually matching my speed, and then they were shouting, hey, come, hey, and the fear. I can't explain that because this was the first time. I thought, because obviously,
How old were you?
You said, what's
11?
Yeah, it must have been. And the fear is that my mum was telling me about all these horrible stories of, kids going missing and all of this. And I thought, at that moment, I generally thought, this is it.
The end.
My mum's going to be watching, crying. and do you know what? They didn't say anything sexual. But the intimidation of trying to get me to come over and get in the car, and there might have been banter to them because they were probably laughing at it, but it was very, very scary.
Yeah. That is scary. And I think I remember always being told that, obviously everyone's told as a child, don't talk to strangers. But we're also told, okay, make sure you don't get into a man's car, make sure that you don't walk down the alleyway, like all of that kind of stuff. And that fear is like kind of always there. Like I remember I used to when I'd come home late and I'm by myself and it was like late because there was this particular man near my area when I was younger, and he was a weirdo, like very predatory.
Yeah.
And I remember being on edge at one point because there was a time I was actually scared when he approached me. There was a point I would like obviously you power walk. There was a point I started running from that bus stop all the way to my house anytime I got off the bus when it was late because I just thought you just never know.
Yeah.
Because and the thing is, like I don't know if it's just me, when I get to the door and I have my key in my hand, that's the worst part. Because I'm literally thinking, I'm at the last point, let me get into this house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even to this day, I'm always a bit on edge whenever I'm putting the key into the door.
Yeah.
I think who's watching or anything.
It's just there, like, and nothing, I haven't had, obviously, an experience that's where something's happened, but that's always there. At my big age of 23, I'm still a bit shaky when I'm putting the key in the door.
Yeah.
And the key's always ready as well. I'm never fumbling in my bag when I get to the door. The key's always ready.
Yeah. I used to actually, in my head, I wanted to consciously have different days every day in case I was being watched. And I didn't know if I was just like crazy or I watched too many movies or whatever. But now when I think about it, it's just the way that you're socialised as women to just try and protect yourself as much as possible. So I literally used to leave the house and think, I can't have the same routine I did yesterday. Like I can't have a pattern of behaviour in case that makes me easier to be kidnapped.
Yeah. My God, it's unpredictable.
Actually, going off what you said and more to what Serena said earlier about like having that talk, and I think when I really don't understand when black guys don't get it because it's literally the same thing but just being with women. They understand the black talk. They know they were sat down and said you can't do this and this because it can get you killed. We've had the black talk and the woman talk. We've been told we can't do this and this because we'll probably get raped and killed. And I'm perplexed how you don't understand this is exactly the same thing going on here.
Yeah.
And it's very scary.
What's crazy to me, like I'm just thinking now, is how normalised it is that people around you don't say anything either. Like I'd be on the bus in uni, and I'll never forget this guy. He just looked normal. He came in, you know, when the buses are empty, and he still came. He was young, like he was a teenager, I'd say. So not even, I don't know how old he was. He came in, he sat next to me. I was thinking, this is weird. It was summer. Must have been wearing a skirt. Not that that matters. And I will never forget. He came and he was sitting next to me, and I was thinking, why did he sit here? And he put his arm on my thigh, and he was touching me. And I said, what are you doing? There were people around. No one said anything. He looked at me. He took his hand off, and he did it again 2 minutes later. And I said, what the hell? No one said anything. And then I got off the bus to get another bus. And he also got off the bus. And then I just thought it's crazy. Like, this is mad. And that's just one little thing. There's been so many incidents. Like, in the club, when your friend is clearly not letting go of this girl that said stop many times. What are you doing?
And men would be like, oh, your friend's cock blocking me. No, she doesn't want you, bro. Like,
I'm saving her.
Do you get what I mean?
But she wants to be saved.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's actually, like, you're actually mentally deluded to not clock that.
The other thing is having a male saviour is another thing I've had to, like, it was mad. You know, again, my male friend at uni, if he was around, there would be no issues. Not one issue. And they would even just do a look.
Yeah.
And I thought, does it have to be this way?
Yeah, it does. I remember when I came to save you guys, and the first night I went out with, like, obviously one of my guy friends and, like, all of his friends. Best night ever.
They just don't touch you.
I remember he came. I remember that one guy specifically walked over, looked up, and then walked away.
It's actually different.
That's
It's
disgusting.
so different.
Men really don't disrespect. Men don't really respect women unless they're related to them or they find them sexually attractive, and combined with romantic. So if that's not your girlfriend, you're not respecting a woman, because that's what you're telling me. Whereas you respect a man's authority to a woman that he doesn't even have. That authority that's not his. So I just think it's disgusting.
Yeah.
If we keep talking, we'll be here all night. So
Honestly.
Oh yeah.
oh yeah, it just won't end. I thought about it. I thought about doing a video where I just read out things. I still might, about all the times where I felt unsafe because of a man.
Oh yeah, the list is really long.
Yeah, and you know what? I read a quote, and it's so true, and I want to end on that. It's just the fear that men often have about going to prison is the same fear that women have just walking down the road at night. And it's so true. So next time a man says, what about men? Or like, not all men, I want to ask them, when was the last time you were scared of being raped? When was the last time you were terrified of going to the park after sunset? What was and the answer wasn't because of men. Just food for thought. But thank you so much for joining us. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Please check out our blogs on untoldeltd.com, and we're on all social media, so Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, SoundCloud as Untold LTD. Thanks guys, until next time. Bye.
Bye.